Hello, everyone, and welcome back. I hope that you all have had a very good and very restful week. I also hope that some of you have gotten to check out my previous video about creating your own weather vane and that experiment. So today I'm going to be talking about weather instruments, and it actually precedes the lesson that I did the other day about a weather vane, because a weather vane is included in weather instruments. So you guys will get a little recap again today about that. So the first thing we need to ask is, what are weather instruments? And a weather instrument is any tool that can be used to measure weather. And oftentimes you can combine multiple weather instruments to predict weather patterns for an area, such as Athens, Clarke County, or the state of Georgia. So what are some reasons why we might want to measure weather? Right, so we might want to measure the weather if we think that a storm is coming in, or we have plans to go outside, but we don't want to get stuck in yucky weather. So what type of things can we measure to determine weather patterns? We can measure water, so that comes in the form of rain and humidity. We can measure air through wind direction and wind speed, and also air temperature. And there are so many more ways and things that we can measure. So how do we measure air? Well, one of the first ways we can measure air is with a thermometer. And a thermometer measures air temperature. So it's a glass tube containing a liquid, often mercury, that expands and then moves up the tube as it expands. And there's a scale beside the tube that is used to measure the temperature. Now on this thermometer that you see here, and many others, there are two sides to the scale. The first side is often degrees Fahrenheit, which is what we use to measure in the United States. And then the other side is degrees Celsius, which is what we use to measure as a metric unit or overseas. The second way that we can measure air is with a barometer, and a barometer measures air pressure. So it tells whether or not the air pressure is rising or falling. And a rising air pressure means that we are going to have a nice day outside. It is going to be sunny and dry. But if the air pressure is falling, it means that it is going to rain soon, and it will be very yucky weather for the day. So how can we measure water? This one is very familiar to you guys, I hope, as I know you guys have a rain gauge at school and you guys check it often. So this one also might be a reminder for you. So a rain gauge measures the amount of rain fallen over a given time. And a lot of times it's a jar that's marked with measurements, or it's just a jar that you place outside and you can measure later, typically in inches. Now the next one is how to measure wind, and you guys know one of these already, I hope, and it is with a wind vane, which is like the experiment that we did the other day. And a wind vane determines the direction from where the wind is blowing by gathering wind with the tail end, which was a square in our experiment, and pointing with the front, which was the triangle end. Another way that we can do this is with a windsock. And a windsock is a cone-shaped tube, and it looks exactly like a giant sock. And so it's designed to gather wind and show direction and speed. So the direction is which way it's blowing, of course, and the speed is how inflated the wind tube is. So right now in this picture, it is not going very fast because the tube is not fully inflated, so it's kind of bent. So let's practice some examples. The sky is very cloudy outside and it's getting windy. Charlie thinks that it might rain outside. What weather instruments can he use to see if it will rain, and what direction the weather is coming from? Right, so one of your answers could have been a barometer. Right, you could also use a wind vane for this one. And you could also use a wind sock to see how fast the wind is coming. So for this one, I'm going to give you guys a little bit longer to think about it. Sandra wants to go to the beach today, but she's wondering if the weather is good. What are some instruments she can use that will help her see if it's a nice day to go? Awesome. So she could definitely use a thermometer to see what the weather is like and how hot or cold it is. If it's a cold day outside, she probably doesn't want to go to the beach. And if it's too hot, she might get a sunburn. Another one that she might want to use is a barometer. Like we learned earlier, if the air pressure is going up, that means it's going to be a nice sunny day and it'll be a good beach day. But if the air pressure is falling, then that means that it's about to rain and it is not a good day to go to the beach. Another tool that she could use is a windsock. Have you guys ever gone to the beach and it was super windy outside? Well, I have, and you get sand in your face and your umbrella flies all over the place and it is just a mess. So if the windsock shows that there is a lot of wind, Sandra might not want to go to the beach today. Alright guys, and this is our final example, and hopefully you guys come up with the same answers that I did. So let's read it. Kelly wants to take his dog for a walk, but his mom just got done cleaning their house. What kind of weather instruments should he use to determine if he should go? Now I already have the answers here, a barometer and a windsock. But why do you guys think that he should use those? I'll give you a second to think. Right, so he should use a barometer to see if the air pressure is rising or falling. If the air pressure is falling, that of course means that it's going to rain and he should not take his dog outside because it will get muddy and his mom is just cleaned. Same thing for a windsock. If the wind is blowing towards him, that means that it could be blowing in bad weather, which will not be good at all, again, because his mom just cleaned the house. So to wrap things up, we've learned about different weather instruments and we've learned what they do and we've applied them. So we can use the weather instruments to help us observe weather patterns and help us guess what kind of conditions are going on outside. And for some context, in real-life scenarios, scientists and meteorologists use these tools all the time to help us, and they give us weather reports on the news channels. They also do this to warn everyone of dangerous weather. For example, if there was a hurricane coming in or something like that, you would want a scientist to use all of his weather instruments and go ahead and let us know that things are coming. So I hope everyone has a great day, and I look forward to seeing you all again. I hope you have a wonderful day and a wonderful rest of the week, and I look forward to seeing you guys soon.